We just need the backup music. What music?
All right, we are going live on the Somebody Huggable podcast. I have my dear friend Huggable healer Hannah, as you can see to my right. We are streaming this live on TikTok. We are streaming this live on YouTube, Facebook, and my LinkedIn page because I said, why not be professional while we do a live stream anyway? So yes, please let us know in the comments if there's anything wrong with the audio, if you cannot hear one of us. That is just something. You're a part of the test run with us. We are looking to figure this out. So welcome to the room. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited. And I would like to give a warm welcome to Hannah. Thank you for joining. Thank you for suggesting to do this. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. I'm just so thankful. Hi, everyone. This is going to definitely a pilot. So figuring out where we are and who we're connecting with. If you're commenting, if you're wanting your comment heard or connected with, you've got to come over to the YouTube. But if you're on all the other live streams, I just want to give you a quick hello. Thank you for setting this up in our pilot podcast. I'm sure it's one of many, but wow, this is here we are.
It's exactly like a live, right? It's a live for us. But the beginning portion is I want you to introduce yourself. I want you kind of give like what we did on our Zoom calls. Like, what is your goal? What is your goal for not just this podcast and your TikTok journey, but what is your goal for literally life? Well, why do you feel like you are here? Let's get into the deep questions right away. Why do you feel like you are here?
We just went there. Here we are. I'm here to demystify the spirit world. I was really like, that's my jam. My jam is I want to take the spirit world and I want to take up all the labels and what I feel, make it hard for folks to relate to on it every day. And I want to show you how to incorporate it in a way that empowers you. And it again, just all about demystify the spirit world. So that's what I'm here to do.
I love it because I think we share such a similar journey. Because for me, I think a lot of mine is connecting and marrying spirituality and mental health. So for anyone who doesn't know, please correct me on terminology. I say spiritual medium because you guys always say this word that begins with an E, and I don't exactly know it. So I just say she's a spiritual medium as if there's another medium somewhere else. Like things I don't know. So for anyone who does not know, is kind of coming from my world and not so much Hannah's. She is a
evidential medium.
And she's really good at it, I must say. I know because I've been a part of her readings. She does. So this is the coolest thing for me. And this is why you're one of my favorites, if not my favorite. You do this not for a job, not for income, because you feel called to do it. And the purest way to do it for you is where you feel called and who comes into the room, you provide readings for them. Yeah. So if you're not following her on TikTok, you might get a free reading if you follow. So yes. So talk about that a little bit. How did you actually, I feel like I'm interviewing you. I don't want this to be me interviewing you, but I want this to be, to
get to know, right?
These are questions I think I have about you. So I kind of want to jump in. How'd you get into the world? How did you kind of tap into mediumship? How did you tap into spiritual world itself?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's that age of the 20-year-old age where you're feeling yourself out. Who are you? And trying to get to know yourself and connect. And what makes me unique or what makes me different or what makes me like other people. And as I was doing that exploring and getting to know myself, I noticed that, again, you start to watch other people too. And in juxtaposition of the people, I started to realize I'm awkward. I'm a little different. I see the world different than other people. And why? Now I want to know why. Oh, thank you, my friends. I want to know, why do I see the world the way I see it? And so I just started to dive in and trust that. I started to kind of trust that this sense of self that was pulling at me, that I could start trusting it more and leaning into it more, because I thought, well, what's the worst case scenario? And the more I started trusting and leaning into my authentic self, I felt myself pulled, like literally pulled towards spiritual topics, like walking into a bookstore and just walking into a section going, I don't know why. And you just felt pulled and started exploring spirituality. And then noticing that a lot of what I was reading resonated with me. And then that was the next thing I knew, that I'm like, oh, I want to look into this more. And then I took a break because I became mom and family and kids and everything. And so I had to kind of navigate the world. And then a loved one of mine passes away. And those loved ones passing away was that brokenness that I needed to break open and realize that there was something more in the physical world and I needed to know more. And then I started to explore. And the next thing you know, 7 years later, I'm a medium.
That's so funny. Oh, it's not fun. Well, obviously, it's not funny how we get there, but it is. I always feel this too. I feel as if like something like that has to happen for you to almost believe in that
Yeah.
other side. Otherwise, you're
Right?
kind of like, well, I don't know any better. And then all of a sudden, I have someone like my grandfather coming through just in waves, and I'm just like, there's no other explanation. Like,
Right.
there's none other. Well,
There's so
I'm so happy to finally kind of learn how you kind of got to this point and hear your backstory. Um,
what got you
because
into yours? Yeah. What made you say, I'm going to, this is our first live and everybody's getting to know us a little bit as technically doing this, connecting
doing this
together.
show.
Tell, right?
It
Share
is.
people what your story is. Wow.
Oh, my story. So my story actually, I always like to say I was shaken into spirituality. Um,
Yes.
I was kind of going through a pretty big rough patch. I was going through anxiety attacks, panic attacks,
Mm,
ending up in the hospital for thinking I'm having a heart attack, losing my mind, all these kind
mm,
of things that go along with anybody in here who or anybody listening understands an anxiety panic attack feels like it's the end of the road. You're saying your
yes.
goodbyes. See
That's
you
right.
later. See you in
Bye,
the
everyone.
next. See
Bye.
you during the next show. Take your bows.
Right. We're done.
And so I kind of started looking into what am I consuming? Like, what am I doing?
Mm,
What is I'm watching a lot of really pointless things on Instagram, Facebook, all these things. I wasn't on TikTok yet.
mm-hmm.
And then I found TikTok is like my initial name on TikTok was Sly Social because I wanted to be like under the radar. I didn't want
Right.
anybody to know I was on that forbidden app that is just a bunch of like teenagers dancing and doing weird things. And so I jumped on it. And
Yeah.
the first thing I remember somebody popped up, and I can't remember her name, but she was talking about receiving help from your spirit guides, receiving and the first thing
Mm,
all you had to do, essentially, ready, all you had to do was say you're ready. Say it like it's almost like opening the like, hey, I'm ready. And so this was me. I literally sat in my kitchen or stood in my kitchen right in the corner where the drawers meet. And I kind of just like looked up and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm having a really tough time.
mm. You
And
surrendered.
I need some help. Universe, whatever, anybody who is listening, anything that is listening, like I'm ready. I
Yeah.
want to do this.
Yes.
Um, and the weirdest thing happened is like I felt like it wasn't this like people will tell you stories like I was hit in the face like a ton of bricks. It just felt like a nice warm blanket of energy was just placed on me. And I
Mm,
was like, I don't know what
mm.
this is, but I feel it. And that
Yeah.
was the beginning. That's kind of how it started to get to where I am now. I say like I'm a spirituality for dummies.
Yeah.
It's if you're starting, like I'm the person to listen because like I'm like I don't know what's going on, and I'm just fortunate enough to talk to people like you and all of the beautiful people we talk to on TikTok and all
No,
of our
that's
wonderful
amazing.
people that are here listening to the podcast live. Like I'm just so lucky that somehow, some way, Spirit said you're ready.
Yeah.
Here are those people that I'm going to start surrounding you with. Now it's up to you to listen and surround yourself with them.
Well, and I love it. Again, it's accessible. What we're talking about is accessibility. You were not talking about there's, when you see somebody and even like say doing a mediumship reading, it's like, is this even accessible to me? Like, is this, and I love that about you that you're like, I'm going to humanize and I'm going to just express who I am and my journey. And I'm going to share my journey and, and the ups and downs and the ins and outs and everything in between. I have no idea why it keeps going out. Sorry.
You're good.
Okay, the lights were just blowing out there. But yeah, it's just about accessibility. And that's funny. That was the same calling to TikTok. That's funny how we overlap to TikTok. I'm like, what am I doing on a dancing app? But I kept feeling
Right.
this call to it, right? Being pulled in. I'm like, I don't want to deal with social media. I don't want to deal with people. And all that. But I just kept feeling that pull. And I said, well, if I'm going to come on, I called myself, we all had different names. Okay. So I'm telling them myself, mediocre medium. That was my name, right? I'm going to go by mediocre medium because I'm just because I wanted to show that there was nothing. I don't know why that's doing that. And it wasn't even doing that when we were talking before, but look at how the lights are just completely on their own. Sometimes, by the way, warning, I want to tell you guys this right now. Technology, when loved ones are around, start to act up. And it's like, if
Mhm.
you ever need validation, watch. Sometimes there's a light show that happens even behind us. So can't make it up. You got to roll with it, go with it.
Uh-uh.
But you know but I wanted because I wanted to show everybody that like how you can incorporate even mediumship or using your intuition a lot. And it's a lot to me about intuition, right? And sharing intuition and making it every day. I didn't want it to be, and I didn't want myself on a pedestal. That's why I want to call myself a mediocre medium. I didn't want it to be about me. I wanted to be about connecting with spirit. And if I can do it, you can do it too, was kind of
Mm.
my, you know, that what was my drive when it came to TikTok, you know?
It sounds so similar to me, as I said, like I didn't want to be known, right? I don't
Oh, yeah.
remember because how this relationship started is you jumped into one of my lives, and like I don't even say one, you were in there a couple times commenting. I was like, and connection. I was like, oh my gosh, I love the support. Then I saw you went live, and I was like, oh cool. And I saw you did readings, and I was like, oh, I didn't know, because I was kind of talking about the mental health side of things. It was like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing the spirituality thing. It's a really cool fad. Maybe you guys should try it. And
Check it out.
yeah, I get to talk to these things that you can't see,
Yeah.
but I don't really know if I'm doing it. And then as I kind of kept going, kept talking to people in this community, um, I started seeing my mental health improve a little bit. And
Interesting.
I wouldn't say it's like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
We did it. See
That's
you
it.
later.
Yeah, I'm great
I
now.
I understand it. It's
Yeah.
like I understand myself. It's more as if I'm like, oh, there's things talking to me. And not just like it's not always a spirit, it's myself talking to me.
Yeah.
I like to call them the trail of treats. It's giving me a trail of treats to kind of follow and take me to the next thing. And I truly feel that like all of that led up to this moment, to whatever's happening. Once we shake off our cobwebs, once we like really step into like, I believe like our TikTok energy, because I think it is so much different being on a screen.
I know, right? It's so
Like
interesting. Yeah.
I truly think magic's happening. I really
Mhm.
feel like we are on something cool, because our mission is to help people.
That's it.
That's what we want.
That's it. I want people to feel like because, and I love, when I was talking to my family about doing this podcast with you, Ben, and I said, they're like, what draws you to do this podcast with them? What do you feel the pulls? I'm like, it's again, the grounding nature of mental health
Mhm.
and being able to still have spirituality and keep them connected. They're not separate. It's not like in order to work on your mental health, you have to negate your spirituality and you're just working on the clinical, the cognitive brain, but also spirituality. You're not up in some cloud floating away, neglecting your physical body, neglecting that physical aspect of you, that they marry beautifully. And in fact, one can take the lead sometimes over the other, right?
Oh,
And one can guide you and lead the other. And when you learn the difference of what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling, and versus the I'm intuitively picking up on what I'm knowing, and I marry those together, the whole self now gets to be in this dynamic. My
hmm.
whole self gets to be present. So regardless of what the universe or the world is throwing at me in that moment, I know that I'm working with all of these faculties and I'm pulling them together so that whatever the outcome is, I truly believe the best version of me in that moment, whatever that version is coming through, and it's being present minded and being present, and then I can find the present in that moment, even if it's the roughest moment in the world. I can look back and go, oh, this was leading me to a talk with Ben. And
Right?
things go, there we go. It's like, right? It all led
Mm.
to this moment. So you go, okay, this is what was needed. And then you're not as self-critical. It's so funny because I feel like when it comes to our intuition, our spiritual side is so much less self-critical than our mental mind can be. So it can be such a
Mhm.
great way to stop the self-criticism when you start to lean into your intuitive self.
I think that's the nail on the head, because I think a lot of why I identified with it is a lot of the principles in spirituality is removing that self-judgment, removing, comparing yourself to others' journey, this and that. And all of a sudden I was like, I'm starting to be like, wait, that's kind of my problem.
Mm,
Quote unquote, my problem. I'm like,
right.
wait a second.
The challenge.
I find I'm starting to realize the version of me that has been comparing himself, trying to be this uber successful person by means of money.
Yeah.
It's not coming to me
Yeah.
because it's not authentic to me.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, that's someone in the back seat. They need to hear that. Hold on. Hey, in the
Right?
back seat, did you hear that? Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure they heard that.
Right? Like, it's not like I'm bashing my head into a brick wall following all of these people on YouTube, on TikTok, Instagram. Oh, this is the 5 steps to accomplish enlightenment. This is the 3 ways to eliminate that. Now, I may be guilty of it because I do make YouTube videos to say there's a 3 ways to figure out some things, but that's because I need to get clicks in order to help people. Okay,
Because you
we're gonna
understand it.
clear. We're gonna clear that up. Okay,
Right.
um, but that and it is, and I started taking a back seat and
Yeah.
started watching, opposed to feeling like I'm the driver all of the time. I'm watching things unfold, and it's kind of like, here's that trick, here's that trail of treats. Are you going to pick it up, or are you just going
Yeah.
to be like, I'm good? Okay,
Right.
we're going to leave you another one until you pick it up. And then once I step back, I was like, my mental health, my spirituality are growing next to each other. And
They're
it's
not absent of each other.
never, I always felt like that's how I felt with spirituality and religion. They're
Yeah.
not separate from each other. At the core of everything, just like the core of mental health, religion, spirituality, whatever it is, it's love for yourself, compassion for
Mhm.
others, empathy, and growth. It's a
Yes.
journey. And
Right.
once I realized none of any of that was separate, it really helped heal my poor relationship with religion. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, all of
So
these scriptures and this word, like, they're beautiful stories. They're
yeah.
just they're just interpreted differently by so many people,
Yes.
just like
That's
spirituality,
amazing.
just like mental health. My anxiety and your anxiety might not read the same,
Yeah.
but we can understand it.
Oh my gosh. That's beautiful. I'm like literally taking all that in, you guys. I'm like, "Ah, that's so well said." And I love that we get to get unstuck, right? Because there can be, we can get to the point where we're feeling stuck. And I realize that when I'm feeling stuck in a situation, um, I have these other tools that I may be neglecting. If I'm feeling stuck mentally, I can lean on my intuition. I can lean on my spirituality. If I'm feeling stuck in my spiritual work, maybe it's because I need to move into my mental mind a little bit and look at this in
Ooh.
a discerning way. Like I might just need to turn my direction just a little and marry the two together better. And the stuck is just because I may be looking to something to fulfill something that in that moment, it's just not in the right role. And it's not a big deal. You just go, and I love this one. You'll hear me say it a lot. Pivot.
Are you a Friends fan?
Okay. I wasn't.
Pivot.
I didn't even know it was a thing until we all started chitter chatting. And then I had to go look it up. And now I totally can't not see Friends every time.
Just
Pivot, right?
pivot. I've it's but isn't that the truth though? And I keep getting chills when I'm talking to you about it because isn't
Gratitude.
it crazy how sometimes like mental health is like it's now the time to work on this, and spirituality is like you worked on me, I'm going to help you through that, and vice versa. Your mental health, when you're going through the spirituality journey, like your mental health is taking I say a hit, it's growing, it's
Yeah.
learning how to start to unwind and untangle everything you've been taught to be true.
Right.
And once you realize that shade or that curtain of reality
Yeah.
is kind of utter bullshit, then you have to go through a healing process of reconditioning everything.
You really do.
Everything.
You have to break open. You're like, what am I doing? What are all these pieces? What do I do
Oh,
with this? What do I do with this? This is here. What do
how
I do
did
with
you deal with that? How did you I think obviously you've been kind of on this journey for you've been cognizant of this journey for longer than I have.
this?
How did you deal with that initially when you started to peel back the layers, but you
Yeah.
still had to be in a human body, right? You were just like,
Right.
"Oh, everything's energy, frequency, and vibrations, all of this, but I still need to be here."
Right.
How did you start shifting your reality and creating it to be what it is now, opposed to being like, "I am so scared."
Yeah. What am I doing here? Do you know what? Do you know what for me is when it came to the spirituality, I think that again, the break open was the breakthrough. And it's losing the loved ones that I love so much, having them gone in the physical body and how broken I felt. And I just felt like I couldn't be more broken than that. For me, that was the like, there you go. You just took away, and I could be very angry if I wanted, right? Universe, you just took away the one particular person that meant the most to me in this moment, in this space, in this way that I needed. They're gone, the physical body. And I got this little glimmer of feeling them around me. And I thought, oh, this is good. And I had to start trusting the intuition, like, this is good. I don't know what this is, but this is good. But it created a seeker in me. But when I went and started seeking, what I recognized was and I don't know if it's just my temperament or what, I didn't want to lose myself in the process. I wanted to gain something. And that was my intention going forward. And so I'm not just one for me to take something at face value. You say it, that
Mhm.
makes it true. I want to know more. I became a
Yep.
seeker of knowledge and information rather than asking for something to fix the broken. It was more like, this feels good. I'm going to keep leaning into what feels good. I'm going to trust what feels good. And I'm going to take in, this is my path for me. I'm going to take in what resonates with me. And if it doesn't, I'm going to set it aside. And I'm just going to keep going after what feels good. Because at this point, I'm so broken, right? I'm so broken. I couldn't take being broken anymore. So I was very selective about what I picked up. And if I didn't feel like it served me, it didn't get my attention. I didn't have it. Can't give what I don't have. And that really I
Huh.
can't, like, what's interesting is that hasn't changed. Now, many, many, many moons later, I feel like there's so much more I know. I still take that same attitude.
Yeah.
I don't pick up, I'll look at it, I'm willing to consider it. But if it doesn't serve me, it doesn't get my attention because I just don't have it. And that seems to
I love
be
that.
what's got me to where I am and continues to allow me to stay my authentic self in this growth and not get pulled down a rabbit hole. And I've seen some things, and I don't want to say I've never, the fear based beliefs, we've talked about that. I took classes with fear based beliefs, and I caught myself picking up some fear based beliefs, meaning people telling me that I'm connected with negative energy or the bad stuff, and that I needed to be careful. And I took it in like, oh no, okay, I don't want to do that. But no matter what, it never sat right with me. I'm like, I'm not. Why am I allowing, I'm not connecting with anything negative. I'm not. And then once I decided, oh, that's a label or that's someone's belief system, I don't have to incorporate that. Immediately the peace comes in again. You go, oh, I was believing something that wasn't true for me.
Right. So you said it. I love this. Once I stopped giving it my attention, it stopped being true.
Yeah.
Well, because you kind of start learning that everything is fighting for your attention. So if these
Yes.
words come in saying, "Oh, I'm surrounded by negative energy. I'm doing this to people. I'm not fulfilling this. I'm not channeling right." The more energy you give that, the more attention, the more you pay your attention to it, the more it collects it, and the more it
Yes.
becomes true. The universe looks at it and goes, "Oh, that's what you believe. Here you go."
Here you go.
But
Here's your narrative.
when it hits you and you sit there and go, "That ain't it." It makes me
Diana.
feel a certain way. Maybe it was the little nudge being like, maybe I need to redirect. Maybe my message
Yes.
isn't coming across right. But I know deep down here, trust your gut, right?
Yes.
I know deep down in my gut that is not true.
Yeah.
And
This doesn't.
no one else knows better than you about you.
Well said, right? You know what, and if somebody is trying to sell, this is the way I feel like it. If anybody's trying to sell me anything, what's their agenda? What's their motive? How does this serve them? What purpose does this provide for them? Right?
Mm,
You're like, because that really helps me. Again, a running observation, you mentioned it earlier, to circle back, you become an observer of yourself is the best way to get to truly know yourself, has been my experience. So I really will go into observational mode. I go into observational mode about myself, the situation, the person, the dynamic. And then it also helps me dissect what doesn't feel good here. Because now we're going to that gut and that feeling and going into your stomach. It's hard to know when you're in the moment. So if you can go into an observational mode and kind of take it all in, now you're using your cognitive skills, abilities, right? We're using the mental mind. We're
mhm,
running this dialogue. We're writing it down. We're taking it in. We're making these observations, making these little notes. Even if it's just on your mind, you're like, mental note. You're taking it in. That didn't feel good. Go into the feelings right after, because that's your intuition checking in with you. And now you're using both. And I bet a lot of us do that, but have been talked out of that for
mm,
one reason or another. If we stop doing it, likely somebody gained something by stopping those two from talking. Was it a religion? Was it a job? Was it a relationship? There was a gain from them for us to disconnect those. But when you break
mm.
open and you have nothing else to lean on, I've found that leaning into those two things, bringing my mental mind game up, doing what I need to do to take care of my mental game, build that intuition gut, then I can guide and align with where
Mm.
I'm supposed to be. And no matter what someone's throwing at me, I can recognize, oh, that's you. Oh, that's you. Oh, that's you. That's yours. You can, no, that's yours. You can have that. And then I can
Oh,
trust that inner GPS better, you know?
that's incredible because I think we talked about it a little bit. When you're able to listen to that intuition and you're able to become the observer, the moments in which you are starting to feel stuck in life, directionless, you're starting to feel like, wait, I feel like I've run my course.
Yeah.
There's no more there's no more tread here.
Yeah.
Where do I go now?
Right.
The
Right.
intuition is what's going to lead you, right? That's the moment because usually we're taught to start spinning our wheels. Well, now I need to
Yes.
get something. I need to get something in the barrel. I need to go. I need to move. Maybe you start stepping back and you observe a little bit. That's why I always say, like, I just did something. I was like, if you are looking for your purpose and your purpose 10 years ago may be different than your purpose right now, what is in here making you happy? Simply, like, not,
That's it.
well, this makes me happy, but this makes me happy when I do that. What is it that makes you happy? Think
Yeah.
about it like right now. What is it that makes you happy? And I always say mine is helping people, having insightful conversations,
Mm.
reaching that. What I just saw something fly around on my
Did you see
screen.
it?
I
Did you
did.
see it? Yeah. Okay.
I was
Right.
like, wait a second.
Did you see?
That's I
Okay.
did. Oh, whew.
Okay. No.
Mine is hell. Whew.
Family. Hi, friends. Hi,
I'm
Spirit.
doing it's got me doing the chicken dance over here.
Right.
Like, that's like, and you can tell like those kind of things. Oh, that's my trail of treats. I'm helping people. Someone here, either it's on TikTok, it's on YouTube, Facebook, my LinkedIn. Someone needs to hear all of these things about when you are lost, whether it be career,
Yeah.
mentally, spiritually, religiously, what brings you joy, and then you act in service of that and observe it.
That's it. And can I say start small, go big?
Mm.
Sometimes what happens is we look at the big picture and like, and what I recognize is everything breaks down to the small. And the biggest part is if I take care of the small, then I have the energy to start attacking the big. And that's my
Ooh.
reminder to myself. I've got to take care of the
Oh.
littles, guys. I've got to focus on that little stuff. And then I will have the energy to tackle the bigger. And if we're just going straight for the top of the mountain and we haven't got the gear to get up there, you're just going to be exhausted. You're going to get there and have nothing left to give. So my big thing is if you're wondering about your purpose or your passion, and if you're like feeling stuck, first I look at what am I attached to? Because attached is a way I feel stuck, right? Am I
Mm.
attached to the outcome? Am I attached to a story? Am I attached to a role? Am I attached to a belief system? Am I attached to what am I attached to that's making me stuck? Because that's going to start there. And then I start again running observation. It's going to help me look into this a little bit more. Running observation of things I'm attached to. And then I can look at then that gives me then the idea, let me look at these and which ones, the littler ones, can I start with that will serve me, not at the expense of others, but will serve me in a way I now have more energy to tackle the other things. And you kind of
Oh.
move up. And then when you get to the point where you have peace, can I tell you, when you take the baby steps to get there and you let go of the attachment of what the timeline is, you're not going to just sell it out to anybody. You're not
Mm-mm.
just going to give it to anybody.
Mm-mm.
Somebody cannot buy my peace right now. They could, they offered, Ben? Will the universe test you? Oh, they will test you.
Oh
Have
yeah.
I had things come on my plate and try to take my peace? And have I let them in a moment, right? Yes, but it's interesting because my intuition will come back and go, come back. This is not serving you. And then I let go of it. And
Oh,
I pull back, right? It's pretty powerful. Powerful
that's
stuff.
because that's what happens. It starts dangling things, right?
Yeah.
I just had my dad ask me the other day because for anybody in here who doesn't know, recession hitting, right? Lose your job. How do you focus on these things, right?
Yeah.
And my dad goes, "Well, maybe you should go back to this pharmaceutical company I used to work for."
Yeah.
And I instantly went, "No, no way." They're like,
Yes.
"Well, yeah, well they paid you an absorbent amount of money."
Right.
I go, "Mm-mm."
Mm-mm.
Different. He is one of the, if not the hardest working person I have ever overcome layoffs, overcome things, and like between him and my mother. Shout out to my mother, by the way.
Oh,
Happy birthday
happy
to
birthday.
one of the most important women. If
Happy.
I love you, but right, and I sat there, and that was the universe being like, "Are you going to entertain that?"
Mm,
Money isn't my driving factor. I want money, right? I want to pay the
right.
bills, and
Right.
especially
Of
in a
course.
moment in which the universe said, "If we take it away from you, what are you going to do?"
Right.
When we take this money away from you, what are you going to do? And
Mm,
I keep saying this. The story you are telling yourself right now is the story you are writing. The story you are telling yourself right now is a story that's being written. So my perspective, anybody listening to this going through something had to leave to create space to welcome the abundance that's coming in. So that had to leave because otherwise, whatever I am about to achieve would not have been achieved because of a safety net, because I wouldn't have done the things that I'm about to do to reach this next level. This may not be happening,
yeah.
right? Like
Right.
the people in here who might need to hear exactly this, going through something exactly like just similar, may
Yeah.
never have heard it because of something, the domino effect, right? What happens
That's
to
right.
me helps others. What happens to you helps me. But it's just so, mm,
Intermeshed, right? It's that
yeah.
intermeshing of that. It's like it intermeshes together. Like it's neat too that you can realize that these tests aren't something that are one time, take it or leave it, and you fail and you're in or you're out. Like the universe doesn't do that, right? Like I don't believe that. You can't get me to buy that as a well, you missed that one. It's what's really neat is they'll loop it back around. But they'll also loop back around the, well, are you sure? Because they may dangle something else in front of you another way,
Are
and
you
they may take
sure?
something else away, and they may take something else, and you go, oh no, I'm doing something wrong because I honored this, but now this has come up this way, so maybe I'm wrong. And that's when you got to go back to your, everybody with me? Take your hand to your gut, or where you feel your intuition. Some people feel in their heart, some people feel like in their head, and you lean into that and go, okay, I still have peace about this. I'm still going to hang tight. Now, if my peace gets taken, if my peace gets taken, something shifts and my peace gets taken, it
Mm,
doesn't mean I did something wrong. It means the universe is just directing me, and I go follow the peace. And the peace may be the next thing I know, I'm doing a job I never thought I was going to do, or that my peace would lie there. Like product reviews, just as an example, just as an
uh-huh.
example. I get stuck, and nothing about me says doing product reviews. If you were to write a list of a job that I thought I was going to do, that would not have been it. That would not have been on my radar. But when the universe put it in my lap, and I talked to the family about it. I thought, oh, and I'm flumping. I'm getting the Hannah flump. Anybody knows what that is? That's just spirit. Like, yes, share this. Somebody needed to hear this. So that's my little like, no, yes, Hannah, yes, share this information.
Go
But
off, Hannah. Go
go
off.
spirit. Like, I want to tell you, I want somebody needs to hear this. That job wasn't my purpose, right? It wasn't anything I ever thought would be on my radar. But the job is aligning me to keep me on the purpose that I have and the passion that I have. And sometimes we try to marry a bunch of things together in one way, and it ends up like a goulash. We're not, I always think of food, I go back to food, right? Like
Hmm.
you're throwing it all in one pot and it ends up muddy and messy. Sometimes the universe wants you to have different ways of doing things in different parts to your life. Like we're a marriage of different pieces. It's not just one big pot. So you may be doing a job that you don't love. It wasn't your ideal job, but it allows me the time and passion then to set the place and space to help people in a different way. The helpful Hannah still gets to have its space. It just
Mm.
may not be in that place. And where you can be stuck is if you're attached. If you're attached, that your joy had to be in that place. But that's not
Oh,
always the case. And I'm so
oh.
sounding like Dr. Seuss, and I wasn't trying to. Everybody, preschool teacher with me.
I it's I just
Yes, our gut holds our wisdom.
because I think about that all the time. It's comes back to the what story are you telling yourself? If you're saying this is happening to me, if
Yeah,
this is and now this is what ruffles feathers, especially on social media.
yeah,
You're not the victim,
yeah.
and people will bring up a bunch of horrible, horrible things, saying this happened to
Extremes.
me,
People go into the
and
extremes, right?
it's really hard to look someone in the face and being like, that is terrible and should never happen.
Yeah,
What story are you telling yourself? Who are you helping because you went through that?
yeah,
Like, because we've all gone through things in our life, and it's never a competition. It's never me being like, well, now I have to tell you what I've been through.
yeah.
No, I hold space for what you've gone through, but what are you learning? I feel like we may have lost Hannah.
We froze.
Oh, there we go. We're back. I think we're back.
Oh, that's so weird.
Technology,
Isn't that
it's
amazing?
kicking up.
Technology. Again, spirit, if you're working with spirituality and you're working with this as somebody who used to work in television for years, you guys, I it's a this they got to the point where they're like, Hannah, when every time we work with you, why do the lights go out? Why do things I'm like, do you really want to know? So for everybody hanging tight and just going with the flow.
Absolutely, because that's the thing. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And
Yeah,
even in the worst of things, like just we always talk about my grandfather because he is
yeah,
such a somebody who comes through in every aspect of my life, but especially working with you, he's here all the time. Well, losing him
seriously.
obviously wasn't something I was like,
Right.
yay, like that,
Right.
that hurt. One of the
Yeah.
hardest things I've ever had to do. I
Yeah.
had to sit there with my mother and his wife and go through this. And
Yeah.
but years, rather, this is always the thing, honor the healing process. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean don't go through it and feel like, oh, well, okay, off to the side. Why
Yeah.
did that happen?
Yeah.
Well, I learned how to heal and I became really strong. I help a lot
Mhm.
of people through loss of loved ones because that's an experience I went through.
Yeah.
Everyone goes through this.
Yeah.
So no matter whether it's a breakup, a mental illness, why are you going through what you are going through?
Yeah.
That could be helping other people. That's not always. I find service to others is service to myself. I feel
It fills
guilty
my cup.
sometimes. I feel guilty that I'm like, wait, it's kind of like, why am I getting off on helping people? That's weird. Is
It,
that self-serving? Yeah, it is.
it
It's
fills
it's
my cup.
beautiful.
I can fill others, and then which fills my cup so I can help fill others. And it's just that it creates this beautiful marriage. And there are things that happen to people, and people will ask me, I've had this happen, like, and it's a whole other topic, I'm sure, for another live. And that's the thing, like, we're going to get to even have another live for other topics, but is talking about, well, when things happen to people, like, why does it happen? And is everything happen for a reason? But there are things that happen that are crappy, that happen, that in and of themselves, in and of itself, is just a lousy local condition, as they call what they
Mhm.
call that. It's just,
Lousy local condition.
there's nothing, it just sucks to suck. So I can't say in that moment, maybe you're going to learn some big life lesson and come out of it better. But the life lesson can be that some things just suck to suck, and they just do. And that we just have to get through those
That's the
moments.
lesson.
That's the lesson. It sucks to suck. Right. But and that's the teachable moment. Those are there. And then there's these other moments that they absolutely are garbage. And yet something beautiful grows out of it. Something gorgeous grows out of it. Something amazing grew out of it. And those are the moments that you go, okay. So if I have to have the sucks to sucks moment in order to have these beautiful ones, and I don't always get to know what the difference is, I can still look back and look at the end of the day. I end up with this beautiful, enriched life that gives me perspective and meaning and purpose in a way that I wouldn't have had if I was just sitting on the couch all day watching the world go by. We're not here to sit and watch the world happen. We're here to engage. I say that to folks. We're here to get dirty. We're here to get messy. I don't have loved ones come through when they come through and I'm doing mediumship. They're not coming through, talking about sitting on the mundane can be marvelous too. They'll talk about the mundane and the marvelousness of the mundane, but it's interesting what they bring through is this perspective, that they have these things and it's happened in their life, and they bring through these perspectives, and they have this understanding, this greater awareness that comes through being able to do some self-reflection from what they experienced on earth. And they don't leave with guilt in the sense of, and I want to qualify this, it sucks where they can look back and go, oh, well, that was a crappy situation and a crappy, but I think there's this greater understanding that the teachableness of what we go through here and the brokenness, that's why we're on earth. And they honor that. And then they don't sit here and condemn us. They don't come through and say, Ben, why didn't you take that job at the pharmacy? They honor that whatever life path we need to go through to have the journey that we need to have the experiences we need to have to be and they want us to be the most authentic versions of ourselves. If you want to know what they want from us, that's what they want. They want us to have the experience that we're supposed to have. And it's going to be as individualized as the person that's having the experience.
I felt that. I got chills. I could feel it in my
I'm
chest.
like, spirit, stop messing with lights.
I know, and it's so funny too because I think about this. That's my segue. I always say it's so funny too, and it's not funny. It's usually never funny when I say that. It's ironic because it's what lens are you looking through this? Whether it's spiritual, religious,
Yeah.
motivational, whatever. You just can change the words. So, what is it what are the lessons you are learning? It could be in business to not to trust somebody for a certain business deal, to trust a coworker, to trust a boss, to work for a certain mission, cause. It can be whatever it is. So it's always, I say, like you say, there could be magic in the mundane. What is the purpose? So like if you are sitting there and you're truly relaxing and you're watching a Netflix show and that's your day, you're like, you know what, this is what I'm doing. What is your purpose for doing it? Not to disconnect, but not to just shut off. You're being purposeful with it. I'm learning a lesson my body, my mind, my spirit needs to relax and just chill out for a little bit. Like for me, I probably spend way too much time watching TV, but it's not productive relaxation. It's escapism, right? It's the escaping from things. No, sit down, do it for a purpose. And I think with what we're talking about, whether it's mental health, spirituality, anything, it's learning lessons. That's what we're here for. No matter what, we want to go from point A to point B. You're a purpose-driven person. Goals. We want to go from point A to point B. How do you do that? You learn lessons. How do you learn lessons? You observe. You become a student.
You become a student of the moment. You become a student of life, and you take in things, and you have to trust. I'm going to bring you guys always back. I have to go back to my gut. I always have to go back to my gut. Because that keeps anybody from gaslighting me, right? Or talking me in and out of alignment with myself. I mean, I think if you even look at spirituality and you broke it all down, that's what if you wanted to ask me what the core of spirituality or mental health is trusting yourself and who you are and your perception of how you're seeing things, and leaning into that first and foremost, and where you sit with things, and then being willing to, in a safe way to yourself, engage with somebody, whether it's coming in closer to them because it serves something between the two of you, or moving away because it doesn't serve, and not being attached to, again, the attachment, but getting about being stuck, not being attached to a particular outcome, like, or storyline or whatever, but really allowing myself to dance with what is brought in front of me, and really being able to just move with it, and being able to ride it, that energy. It's yummy. I don't know any other word. I wish I had a better word, but it's just yummy
No,
to be in that place, you know?
you've said it twice now, and I think it was for not just me to hear, to everyone to hear. We think we always know best. We think our mind knows best. We do this, all of this beautiful stuff. This knows best. I always look at the mind as being a really bad interpreter. It's like it's like
Very,
someone being a translator, and like the person speaking fluent Spanish to you, and the translator's like, they said hello, and like the person said like six
they were like,
paragraphs of stuff. It's like, that's not what they said. Like,
right.
that's not,
Right.
like, I feel like the brain can't interpret, like, it
Yeah.
overcomplicates it. It's very
Yeah.
simple. When you listen to this, we are about love, joy, empathy.
Yeah.
And I just had a hypnotherapy session on Tuesday, I believe it was, maybe Monday, Wednesday, one of the days. Time's irrelevant. Time's made up. And I, for the first time, truly felt, without a reason to doubt it,
Yeah.
energy just literally flooding my body.
Mhm.
Like, it did not. Usually when I feel energy, it's almost coming from within. Like, I
Yeah.
can feel it, like feeling. I
Right.
always feel like, you feel the pulse in your hand, and then you kind of feel like it move. My body lights up like a map sometimes. Like, I'm like, oh, that's where it is.
Yeah.
Realistically, that's just where I'm observing it. It's everywhere all the time, but that's just where I'm observing it. Um, I felt this overwhelming. Of course, it was my grandfather, right? And my grandfather comes through, and
So
I'm
much.
talking. It was bounteous. It was
Mhm.
every. I think that's the right word. Boundless, bounty, whatever.
I always call them
You know what?
Hannah-isms. When I have a
Y'all know
word,
what
I'm
I
like
mean.
Ben-ism, Hannah-ism.
That's it.
It's an
And
ism.
I'm telling you, Hannah, all I felt was this overwhelming. Oh, I couldn't hear it, but I felt it. It was just have fun.
Yeah.
Just have fun. It's life is serious. There's a lot that happens, but remember to have fun, please.
Yeah.
And from that day forward, when I'm going through it, or I feel like I say going into old Ben mode, but I feel like I truly stepped over here, and I'm like, you're right.
Yeah.
Bring joy to this. Things
Right.
suck.
Right.
Things are really hard, but it
Right.
doesn't mean you can't have fun.
I'm saying, like, I was just having, look, Ben, we at my house, were you hanging out with me? I was just telling the kids that about something as mundane as, okay, so anyone who knows me, I hate laundry. I'm sure a
Mm.
lot of people do, but I hate
Uh-huh.
laundry. I would walk around in paper clothes and throw them away. That's my jam. That's what I would like to do. The reality is the universe doesn't support that. This may be what Hannah likes, and maybe some alternative universe someday I'll get to wear paper clothes. But until paper clothes become a thing, I'm stuck doing laundry. And I hate it. So I have these doom piles, right? And they get big and they start to bother me. Now, I could make one of two choices. I'd leave the doom pile. If it didn't bother me, then I'd leave them there, right? Because if that's my piece and my clothes in a pile, I would. But they do bother me enough to where now I want to change something. They're bothering. Okay, what can I do? And the kids and I were just talking about it, like the things that we have to tackle that we don't like to do in life. We're going to have to do it. But can our most authentic version of us show up in that moment? And yes, first I acknowledge and go, I hate laundry. I'm allowed to hate laundry. Still got to do it. But I want to. I'm not going to
Ah,
pretend I like it, right?
that's it.
And then what can I do to make it enjoyable? And I used to do this as a preschool teacher for years because that's one of the things I was as a preschool teacher. I would try to make a game out of everything. Surprise, surprise, Hannah on Ticky Tacky. One of the things I do on TikTok is want to play a game. And that's what I do to help people build their intuition. Well, that's also one of the ways that I keep my joy of the best version of me is going to go tackle that laundry. And I will put on music, or I give myself a little, what I do is I put a little candy in my mouth and I'm like, can I get the socks put away before the candy melts away? Like,
Mm.
that's just me. I make a game. I am a grown-up woman. I'm way But I will play a game, and I will always play with my inner child and find a way to play to keep that joy. And then I get done and I have the satisfaction of the doom pile gone until next week when I don't want to get to it. Maybe it gets bigger, twice as big, but I'd still celebrate in that moment and that joy that I accomplished that, right? Because
Mm.
that's going to keep coming up for me. It's not going to go away, right? Being our human experiences aren't going to go away. The mundane's not going to go away. The self-sabotaging talk isn't going to go away. So what can I do in that moment to bring in that joy, that little piece of joy? That's what I can do. Even if I'm stuck at a job, we talked about being stuck and that being our chat today a little bit about, even if I feel like I'm stuck at a job, well, what can I do to bring me joy in that moment that I feel like in and of itself, I'm going to have to get through, but I can get through the best version of me, whatever that is. And that's going to help me have the emotional bandwidth to keep showing up, and then have the emotional bandwidth to then pick up other things that I want to do. If you've gone into a job and you go in, I can't stand it. Your brain, mental brain, right? I'm going to hate this. This is going to be the worst day ever. You've drained yourself before you've even shown up, to do it, right? You've
It's the
doomsdayed it,
story you're
and
telling yourself.
the story you're telling yourself. And now you won't have the bandwidth to barely do this or anything else after. But if I can do the best version of me and get in there with that and tackle it, whatever that is. And again, the best version of me isn't always pretty. It can be like, the best version of me is like, that's the best version of me, fine. But I show up and I invest in getting this done, because I know at the end for me that it does bring me peace and satisfaction, even if the process itself sucks.
And what does it say in the Four Agreements? I think it's Don Miguel. I think that's the author.
Yeah,
It's
McGonagall,
do your best. That's one of the Four Agreements. And the reason I read that book is for this one agreement, and it was do your best always, but your best looks different every day.
Yes.
So if you're sick or if you're going through something, and holding yourself to the standard. So think of this, holding yourself to the 18-year-old you. And the best 18-year-old you, which was vibrant, full of love, didn't know, wasn't maybe not so calloused by the world yet.
Right.
Was a different best. So yesterday, if you went through something, was a different best. Today, your best yesterday doesn't define your best today. How do you feel today? Do your best, reach your best. And that's the agreement. Everything else, like, I made sense. I was like, oh, I do that. Oh, I'm so enlightened. I already do this. And, yeah. And then all of a sudden it was like, do your best. I was like, I do my best. Your best looks different every day. Don, you're onto something. You got me, ding dong.
Got me. Do you know what Spirit told me the other day? And it was really like, it was one of those moments where I was getting in my head, right? So I needed to let Spirit step in, right? Because sometimes we can let our head take the lead, sometimes we let our gut, sometimes let Spirit. And I was getting in my own way. And I've told this story on a TikTok live, but it goes back to the same thing of where Spirit came in and said, could you just get out of my way? Could you just get out of my way? And recognizing how often we get in our own way. And if you just give yourself permission to get out of the way, it can be like, how do I just get out of my own way? And when I heard that, I was like, well, dag nabbit, I really am in my own way. I really am. I'm in my own, I'm my, and then if I choose later, I can unpack why I'm doing that for myself, right? Like if I'm noticing a pattern and I keep getting in my own way, then that's a good chance to now step back and do that running observation. Why am I stepping in my own way on this? Why do I keep doing that? What's the pattern here? Because then whatever I'm attached to that's creating that pattern and I'm aware of it, I can now unstick from that space, but only once I acknowledge it. And sometimes I can't acknowledge it until I do a running observation of it. And usually it happens more than once, twice, or three times. And to give yourself grace if you end up back in that space. It's okay. It's okay if you end up back there. That's part of the human process. But when you acknowledge it, it gets easier to unstick, I've noticed. Because you go, oh, I recognize that.
You learned a lesson.
You
observed it. And you said something great. It's learning no, you didn't say learning the lesson. It was, I'm losing it. Come back. It will come back when it's meant to come back. That is something I always say now. It will come back when it's meant to come back.
Exactly. Right.
Because now I'm still reaching for it. I'm still reaching for it.
You want it. Let it go.
I do. No, I have to, I need to say it. I told her I was going to let it go. I need to let it go. That's the lesson.
That's my lesson. My lesson. I'm okay that it landed where it was supposed to, and I can move on and go, okay, I've got this. I've got this. Exactly. And I love what Miss
Mm.
J just said. She says, I removed all expectations of myself now. I just wake up and do whatever comes next. I'm so happy. Living in that present moment, realizing how much those expectations are sticking and weighing you down. And Miss J, we can say that comes with life experience, right? It is one of those things. And again, you have to have those experiences beside. You pick something up so much where you go, there's nothing here for me. And it's okay if you need to pick it up 2, 3 times to make that observation. It's not always one time, boom, and you got it.
Mhm.
Sometimes I have to go back and revisit something, whether it's a friendship or it's a job opportunity or not, or it's a
Ooh.
situation. It's okay to go back and revisit it. And a different version of you may be coming at it and go at it a different way. So things come back around in our attention. But I trust the universe to bring it around as often as I need. And then the best version of me is going to show up and tackle it as much as I can. And whatever I can't handle, guess what? I pull back. I go, that's it. And that surrender when we talked about very beginning. All right, universe said, I don't know what else to do here. And that's at a perfectly appropriate place to be. If I don't know what to do, I just don't do sometimes. I just go back and I'm going into observational mode. And then they send you
Mm.
signs like, I don't know, Ben, I don't know, Ben, let me give you an answer. A parking meter, a
Oh my
parking meter
gosh.
today. Can we talk about the
Yes.
parking meter
We can talk
before
about
we're
the
live?
parking meter.
We need to talk about the parking meter. This is important. This is like, you guys, I cannot make this up, nor would I if I had to. So this is amazing. So Mr. Hannah and I, this is what I call hubby, went on a date right beforehand, right before we're going to come on. And we said, we just get a little date in today. He's got the day off from work and it's good. I'm like, okay, good. Mental grounding. I got to take a grounding, kind of break away from this, having this podcast today that I'm excited about it, but I need to go ground my energy. What am I going to go do? I don't know, I'm going to go play a game because that's Hannah. Want to play a game? So I went to go play skee ball, and Mr. Hannah was looking for parking spaces. And I'm like, you're parking too close. They're going to charge too much because this is me. I'm a cheapskate. I'm like, they're going to charge us like twice as much to park here. Let's go park at the top of the hill and walk down to save 50 cents because this is how my brain works. But I honor my brain.
I
So
have
he
a
goes
funny
into
story about
a
that.
parking space. Okay, yeah, because he goes into a parking space, and then the one in front of him opens up, and then it's so funny because now I've let go of attachment that we're going to overpay for a parking space. I'm like, actually, can you move up? Like, can you just pull the car up a little more? And he goes, does it matter? I'm like, yeah, I just feel like we could pull up. Like, let's just pull forward a little bit, one more spot. Not even sure why I felt that way or what is big matters because you don't always know. I'm like, yeah, let's just pull up a little bit. So he pulls up and I'm thinking maybe it's to be courteous to the person behind me. So he goes, okay, let me go pay Park Mobile. And the Park Mobile we park at is numbered. And I go and shoot Ben the picture right away because it's his grandpa's number that his grandpa sends constantly. It's Ben's number. I parked at Ben's number.
47. Not only 47, did you see it was 11?
Did you see that? Did you
Yeah.
see it's 11:47? It wasn't just 47, it was 11. And if you guys know about today's live, it is 11:11. This was completely organic, the live that we had with the date. It ended up
Mhm.
working out. I'm like, ooh, angel number. But we truly 11:11:22. And then one of our wonderful moderators was like, oh, 4 o'clock works for me to go live. And I'm like they want to be on. I'm like, oh, okay, fantastic. And then Ben goes, oh, that's 7 my time. Wait, 4-7, 11:11:47.
4
And I
plus
look,
7.
4 plus 7 is 11. And
It's
I parked at 11:47. Like I want to take my phone and prove it because I'm like, I want to prove it. I want to prove it. I'm going to show you guys. My phone's streaming on TikTok right now, but amazing. Those little signs, those little validations that come through that you're on the right path. And they're little like that, but you can
oh,
be open to them and curious and know that the universe will support you in the most amazing ways when you show up with the most
mm.
authentic version of you, and they're beautiful.
I remember what it was now, of course. I
Tell
remember
me.
what it was. Oh no, it just went away. It was getting in your own way. There it was. There it was. A little bit of comedy. It was so with this, those little signs, if you're getting in your way, the universe is trying so hard to just
Oh,
be like, I just had this conversation with my mother on the phone today. And I was like, and I always say, like, so the number is 47, right? We talk about, and I was like, Sunny comes through, and like we were joking. It's like, I am trying so freaking hard to help you. Will you just?
yeah,
And his famous saying is, "Pay attention." He's like, "Will you just pay attention already?" He's like, I am trying so hard, but you are addicted to getting in your own way. You just love to like look at it and be like, "Oh, hey there, Sonny," and then just blind eye everything else. It's like,
right.
pay attention. Just like, oh, the parking meter is nothing more than a sign to let you know this feels good. You're on the right path. You're on the
You're
path
on the
that
path
is organic to you.
that's it. That serves you in this moment. This is where
That's
you're
it.
supposed to be.
Nothing
That's it.
more, nothing less, whatever. And because that's also the question. I'm sure you
Yeah.
get this so much. Well, what do signs mean? What do
Yeah.
signs mean? Well, 1111 means this. 444 means this. 555. No, what
For
do
sure.
your
For
life
everyone.
experiences tell you? Because someone else
Yeah.
could see 1147 in a parking spot and think nothing of it.
Right.
Doesn't mean anything to them.
Right.
But 1147, I go, ah,
Hi. You're like,
Tibio, howdy. How we
howdy.
doing? Yeah, like,
How's it
like,
going?
okay. It's
Right.
it's those things, and I think whether I always like to like bring it back to like the mental health, the whether it be corporate America, whatever you're doing, look for the little signs of joy, the things that bring you. Maybe it's a coworker reaching out to you, being emailed, just being like, "Hey, do you want a bagel today?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh, I did want a bagel today." And
Yeah.
just the little things that bring you happiness. And just
Yeah.
like in other days, it could have been like, "Why is this person freaking emailing me?" But today, I needed that.
I needed that.
Someone's trying to give you a little bit of help, but are you paying attention?
Yeah. Are you open? Are you curious?
Mm,
Coming in as with a childlike wonder, caring for yourself, care for yourself, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself like you're a child. What
mm,
are your needs? Take care of that. Nurture yourself, and then you can take care of others, right? And coming into life truly like ready to embrace the day with that wonder and that curiosity, it's so freeing, you guys. And I may set what I would say is like I like to set intentions, not expectations, because the world is going to shift around us. And the controlling Hannah wants to set expectations.
mm,
The Hannah that is just here to truly
mm,
be and be present understands that I need to set intentions and let
mm.
go of expectations.
I had somebody, I don't know if they're even watching, if they hear, they know. They reached out to me on Instagram today because it just matches up perfectly with what you're saying. Expectations, setting intentions. I had a quote yesterday that said, if you're acting kind with expectations of receiving, you're just manipulating. You're
Oh,
just trying to manipulate somebody to give you something. But
good
you've been telling
point.
yourself the story of, I'm being kind. Why am I not getting it in return? Well, it's because you're
Mm.
expecting to get something in return. You're just
Oh, that's good.
acting to return. You're just waiting to
Right.
receive, essentially.
Right. You're just
And
waiting to
I got
receive.
I got some kickback, right? People
Yeah.
were like, that was naturally, but I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm going to mess around and find out today. I'm going to step into my authentic self. But someone reached out to me and they were like, can you kind of touch on that?
Yeah.
And I said, if you are acting with love, kindness, and it's true to you with no other expectation of,
Right.
now your job is to set boundaries and look to accept what is coming towards you.
Oh,
But
interesting.
so you're looking for accepting, not expectations. You're setting about, so because when you give out love, kindness, and everything like that, you're just giving without
Yeah.
the expectation. Now you're ready to accept what is coming back to you. But when you're giving with expectations, now you're looking for it. You're like, why isn't it coming?
Ooh. It sounds like a gimme, gimme, right? You're going on it very different energetically. So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm hearing what you're saying, right? Like it's energetically like one is a gimme, gimme grab, and another is a, hey, this is great. Let me share what I have, and and again, the big thing is only sharing what you have to give.
Give.
Then you don't feel like I was
Mm.
taught I was taught in the belief system, give until you bleed, give until it hurts, give until you can't give anymore. That's when you're truly being selfless. And what I again then I had to go back and recognize, who does that serve? That was never going to serve me.
Mm-mm.
Whoever was telling me that message, what did they have to gain from that? Boy, they had to gain a lot. They gained control. I'm exhausted. I don't have boundaries. Like this is, and I thought this was such a selfless thing. And I had to really unpack the motivation behind that. And now I give, but then I give what I have extra to give. And then guess I never, and I do it in a way that it doesn't need to be given back. I don't need it back. I have more than enough. What am I going to do with it? And if they do give me back, whatever they give me back, or they give me something back or in a way, then that's just icing on the cake. But I'm good. I'm good. And I'm
Oh,
really recognizing that. It keeps me in a place of not giving more than I have to give,
your
and then,
capacity. You recognize your capacity.
yes, you recognize it. And
Oh,
and then it keeps you authentic, right? It keeps you authentic. Um, and it keeps me from being manipulated, and it keeps me from being exhausted. And as somebody, and again, that the humbling factor was having an autoimmune disease. It's something that I've dealt with for many years. It was because I was just giving and giving, giving until I couldn't give anymore. And then the universe was like, are you done now? Are you done giving until you can't give anymore?
mm,
And now it's like, oh, I wouldn't, yeah, I'm done. And it feels so good to finally go, I can't give what I don't have. I can give in abundance. And then I'm not giving with expectation.
oh,
I'm giving with just truly the most authentic version of what I have. This is what I have. And then what I say, take it as something to consider. And if it doesn't work for you, you can get rid of it because I'm not attached to it coming back to me.
mm.
Here you go.
I I wrote a book about it. This is not me self-plugging a book. I wrote the
Did you
book,
share? I didn't know.
How to Become Respectfully Selfish. The whole premise of the
I didn't
entire
know
book, the whole premise of the book is learn how to respectfully just say no. It's okay just to say no. Your intentions behind everything, the intentions behind your no are mean more than the no. The right people understand when you say no, don't ask why. They don't need the why. The right people will say, okay, is there anything I can do for you? Or they
Or thank
care.
you even. There can be even like almost a thank you. Like I'm almost like, oh,
Mhm.
thank you. Because I'd rather you told me no and not make me have to question whether you mean it. Because I don't necessarily want either have the ability, capacity, or a desire to figure out if that no is authentic. That is the biggest gift when someone can authentically tell me no or yes. And then I can
Mhm.
trust them and that relationship. Then I feel like that bonds me to somebody so much more.
Oh,
Right. Like, oh, good. You're going to say no when it doesn't work for you. Phenomenal.
I have the conversation with my nan all the time, who I believe is watching, so hello if you are. Um, where it was always like, why is no never a reason? Why is the words "I don't want to" not sufficient? Like, why can't I just be like, "Hey, do you want to go to the ball game today?" No, I don't want to.
I
Well,
don't know.
why? I thought I just told you. I thought I just said I don't want
I think
to.
I
Well,
think that's good.
you need to have a reason. I don't
Um,
want to.
I don't want, again, going back, again, that childlike. I loved being a teacher for years. And what I love with little kids, there's no pretense. I
Uh-uh.
don't like this. This is gross. I don't want this. They've usually been programmed or conditioned to say something different. I didn't want the kids to be conditioned to say something
No.
different. You know,
Uh,
I would say to them, you can say thank you. I don't want it. I may add a thank you in there or no thank you. Maybe I'll throw in a little pleasantry, right? But
mhm,
yes, Miss J, exactly. No, Dana Wells says no is says Willie says no is a complete sentence. Exactly. Oh, and I love before it said the comment was when I started looking for angel numbers, they stopped showing up. I love that. Like
mhm,
that's something really good to recognize too. I didn't want to miss that comment. It's true that you can start. I think the magic in the kid like wonder when it comes to things, feel free to embrace your inner child and the way they respond. Obviously, there's etiquette and the way that we can say things. And we talked about this, and that could be a whole other podcast, but I don't want to run into. But like you can say things kindly, like "Hey, thank you, no, thank you." But ultimately, that kid like wonder in the world and looking and catching the magic and just being the authentic you and the way you say things, it is enough. And if to
mm.
someone else it isn't enough, then my thoughts are don't give them more attention of yours than they deserve. You
And
know,
I look
if
in the
it's not
mirror
enough,
there
okay.
too, because you've probably been giving them more than you had to give, right? You've probably been running yourself
Oh,
on empty, and now they're like, "Well, you've been down to do this for the past 5, 10 years. Well, now why don't you want to do it?"
yeah,
I'm beyond fumes.
that's really good.
The car is no
Yeah,
longer running. I'm done. And so that's one of those things like we like it's an opportunity to check your boundaries. Who have
set
you been
boundaries.
giving to so much? And I'm not giving for you to replenish my tank. If it's a natural reciprocation,
Yeah,
they're the people I'm learning to surround myself with.
yeah,
They're the people where like I am giving out because I care.
yeah.
They're giving back because they care. I'm not expecting them to, because when I expect it, just like Chrissy said, when I expect it, it's not coming.
Yeah.
It's not there. I want all the, I'm going to put the intention in the world. I want all the money. I want all this. I want this. Well, now if I start watching it, if I start picking pennies or pinching pennies, like, the money's not coming.
Yeah.
That's the whole magic of the universe. They're always like, you find the love of your life when you're not looking for them. You do this when you always find success when you're not looking for it. There's so much truth in it because you set the intention, right? We talked about this.
Full
You
circle.
set the intention and then let it go.
Let go of your expectation. And then it comes
Universe is at
back
work.
beautifully. And it comes back beautifully. And but again, the universe is going to test you. And we said it, and I know I really want to make this clear. You can say, I surrendered, Hannah. I'm going to say something. You guys know on TikTok, I don't ever cuss. Bull at an S word. Bull.
You sounds like you still didn't curse. You just went, you whispered an animal.
Bull. I tried. I was like, bull.
You're
and the
like,
universe knows.
all right, you guys know I don't usually do this. I don't swear on national television.
Right? Bull.
Bull.
That's all you get.
I'm still not gonna do it.
Yeah,
Pivot.
but I still edit it. I still drop the Pucky there. Bull. The universe knows you're full of bull. They know you're full of bull. They know it. You know it. And you want to learn your life lessons. That's what I believe. We're here to learn these lessons. And so when you're like, no, really, I surrendered. And then the universe will keep testing you. And it just does. It's so fascinating. Like, and then so getting really authentic and true to myself, going, is there something more here for me to look into? Because ultimately I found that once I really have surrendered, and then it comes up and it's so exciting, like a Christmas present in front of me, because I surrendered. I wasn't attached to it anymore. I wasn't sitting there expecting it. And it shows up and you're like, wow. And can I tell you, Ben, most of the time, I end up looking back going, I'm so much more amazed than I ever could have thought it was going to show up for me, because I let go of the expectation of how I thought it had to show up for me. And it's so much greater.
We don't know best.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Dang it. Dang it all.
And you said it. It's always so funny because, like, when I hear you talk, I'm like, I made a video about that. And that's why, and that's the oh, I'm on the right path thing.
Yes.
The like, I've thought
validation.
that it was energy calls bull.
Shut the front door. I did not know that.
You can say whatever you want. Energy knows exactly. Bull. Like, well, nice. It's just like standing on the altar with energy and saying, I love you. I do this and that. Energy goes like, no, you don't.
Right.
No, you don't. And you're like, oh, okay. Well, now what are your intentions? It all goes into it.
Yeah.
Energy calls, as I got to put it up. Chrissy said it.
Okay, you got to put it up.
Universe be like, oh, yeah?
Nice, Chrissy.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Then here we go again. Here we go. Really? Here we go again. You really said you no. Yeah. And then the universe. And then when you're really in that authentic place, I believe that's when those blessings fall into place, right? Mm-hmm. Those little things, they fall into place, and they fall in beautifully, and they fall in organically, and they fall in, I found for me, they fall in flawlessly in a way that if I tried to place them there, it was never going to work. It was never going to work out. Whatever it was I was trying to create was never going to work out. You know?
I didn't have the resources. I thought I did. I thought I knew best. This is another thing I've been thinking to myself. I've been viewing my journey as this, just linear. It's just straight. If I do this, this comes. If I do this, this comes. There is so much beauty and so much working for me out here. If I just start to open them blinders up, I'm going to start to see all of the things that are working for me. Otherwise, I feel like I'm the person in control of it. Yeah. I have something to say. We don't control any of it. It's control is such an illusion that is the source of all of my anxiety. I feel like I should be in control, and when I don't have control, I lose my mind.
Dang it. He's right too, guys. Ben's right. Just saying. Go fearless. Yeah. Oh, go find less. Yes. I didn't go fearless, though.
It came from go fearless. Don't let fear run run the
Don't let
world.
fear
Well,
run.
so we promised ourselves we were going to
We
go for an
promised.
hour, and we're
We did.
10 minutes over.
We went a little over.
And
We kind
as
of
we're
got,
closing up, I want to ask you something.
yes.
How did it feel?
After you got over the initial jitters and I was picking at my fingernails, right? Initial
Mhm.
jitters. It's like, wow, thank you, Spirit. Thank you for showing up and helping us find our way and our path to a conversation where I could feel, and you can feel that this message was for somebody as much as it was for me, as much as it was for you. I know that this is a message that is going to help somebody, and they'll have the little takeaways. I would say take the little nuggets, and they can take away what in that this message was for them. I have no question that we got to do that. That was a big part of what we got to do. And wow, what about you?
I agree. The beginning, because we had a little Zoom call, and we
Yeah,
were like, "What do we want to talk about?" And it was like, "Oh, when you feel stuck." And in my mind, I was like, "This is since I know comments pop up,
yeah,
it's going to drive." And that's always the right people show the quote unquote right people, the beautiful community always shows up.
yeah.
And it's going, and I could feel the second half of this start to feel like that TikTok live energy. It could
Yes.
start to feel that more open, free, but it's not so much a podcast as it is an open conversation. And
Yes.
that's what I
Drop
love
the
about it,
first 10 minutes. Like, go and cut
right?
those
Just
out.
chop it.
I see you chop those off. So
Oh
just go
my,
and chop that off
and
when you're comfortable.
I could, it's as soon as you started sitting and be like, trust your gut. And you started, I was sitting there, I was like, Hannah, this is not the only cans. We're not doing this. You got to watch what you're showing.
Dang it. Dang it. I forgot. I know. As soon as my feet come up, if you start getting uncomfortable because the feet kick, it goes from rigidity to, and here comes the Hannah feet. Then,
But no, I had a blast. I
it's
would
just so fun.
love to. I know we said we're going to do one, and we actually
I
are lining up our first guest.
know. What the hell? Look, people
Just
will find the tag words, but there's a Hannah word. What the hell? Like,
so we are going to be having our first guest. We don't know what time, what
right.
day, whatever. I would love to tell you same time, same bat channel, same bat place, whatever the word, but we don't know when our next one is.
We're just doing, we're not setting, we're setting up, what did we say? Intentions. The
Setting
intentions are there.
intentions, and
And then
yes,
we're releasing the expectation of the time and space and when it's going to happen. And I'm excited then, because then I know it'll be one of those things that just align. And then we all get to go again, magically. Wow, we're here again. Look at this. She didn't feel like an hour. Oh, Chrissy, how about that?
it didn't. Rebecca Hawkins, we need more Bennett, and I'm happy to bring it. I'm
Oh,
so happy wherever this takes us and whatever we do.
yeah.
Um, I'm really happy to be on this little journey with you. I'm so happy you brought up the idea of doing a podcast.
Wow.
It's a lot of fun.
This has
I
been
have a
fun.
lot of fun.
I ordered my own microphone. I'm so excited, guys. I get to be a
Mm,
grown up. I've got a mic coming and everything. So wow. We'll see how many times I knock it over. You know, that's the only rule. Like
it's fine.
it's gonna be a
I've only
drinking
been
game.
looking at this the whole time. I'm like, I couldn't have got rid of my router or my modem, whatever it is. I was like, everything. I was like, oh, your ambiance is so nice. I like wanted to just start being like,
You're
take a look at me.
right. You're
I'm
like,
this, I'm
I'm
like,
not.
hold on.
This is like a half
Let me
bed,
just. This is how I'm gonna do the podcast from now on.
right?
Just being like,
This
hey,
there you go.
everybody.
He's like, hey, check out my guitar.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I'm such an introvert. I'm so emotional, in tune with my.
I'm so
I
deep.
play the guitar.
I'm deep.
I'm so deep. This is going off the rails, Hannah.
I know, Ben. We're going into our real Zoom calls, you
I
guys. And it's
know.
like, stay, we need more playing. Oh, I love this. Yeah, I have to get rid of whichever one of these lights is doing that blowing out. So we'll figure out all the details. We'll
Yeah,
work
I
it
don't
out.
know I got myself a nice little light that goes on top of my desktop, which
I
seems
got-
to be helping me out.
Yeah,
So
I got one here, I got one there, I got one everywhere. You get a light, and you get a light, and you get a light.
we all get lights.
We all get lights. So how do we end our life? You know, for like with me on my lives, I always
You
count
count
people out.
down.
Do we want to do it,
Um,
or how do we want to end a life? Something to
oh,
consider. What do we do? Goodbye.
I'm gonna tell you what I was so called to do was just
Okay.
as you were saying it, I was just going to end it. I was just gonna be like, yeah.
Yeah. Bye. Yeah. Bye.